Hi, Jane here, Diverily Mobile Beauty. Today I'm going to talk to you about applying a flawless foundation. Basically you need to have pre-prepped your skin with great skincare and exfoliation, because you're never going to achieve a flawless foundation look if you've got dry, flaky skin on your face. So you need to have prepped with good skincare to start with, and also apply your moisturizer and let it sink into your skin, so that it's moisturizing, it's actually gone in, it's not sitting on the surface. So give it a few minutes after you've moisturized before you start. So the first thing you're going to use is primer. So I like to use a mattifying primer just because I find I still get a bit of a shine. But you can use any sort of primer. There's all sorts of different sorts for different skin concerns, or you can use a combination for different parts of your skin, your face, depending on what you're trying to use a primer for. So you just squeeze some into the palm of your hand, and you can use it one of two ways. You can either rub it together and apply it like you would your moisturizer, so rub it together in your palms and then apply it all over your face. I like to do it with a finger and basically just rub over my skin with the primer, making sure you get all the areas of your face. Go over your eyelids, up onto your forehead, and work it in. Take it right up to the hairline, and then also just under your chin. Your foundation will never stop here, or it shouldn't. So you blend it away down onto your chin and neck. So just take some of the primer down there too. Pop it over your lips, because it's going to help with all your makeup to stay put. So once you've primed, you would then go on to your foundation. I'm going to use a liquid foundation today, and I'm also going to use a combination, because basically it's in between seasons. My skin colour is changing, it's getting paler as we go into winter. So you should choose two different foundations for summer and winter, and then in the spring and autumn you can mix them together to basically allow for the changes in colour, both in the spring when you're maybe catching a little bit of colour, and this time of year in the autumn when your colour's fading a little bit. You need to be working in good light as well. That's really important, because if you haven't got good light, then you can't see what you're doing properly, and you can't tell where you've got your foundation and where you haven't. So the way to choose a foundation colour is, wherever you buy your cosmetics, make sure you go in with no makeup on, so you can actually test it directly on the skin. The two I'm using today that I'm going to mix up to give a combination of the colour, that one's my summer one, so it's a little bit dark. I don't know if you can see, darker than my skin colour. And this is my winter one, which is a lot lighter. So as I say, today I'm going to do a combination of the two. I like to use a sponge. These are very easily found in cosmetic counters or whatever. It's just a latex sponge, and I find it really the most handy thing to use to apply, just because then you're not using your fingers, so you haven't got the oil from your fingers going onto it and moving it around more than it needs to be. You can by all means use your fingers, there's nothing wrong with that. This is just how I like to do it. So to mix the foundation together, you can I pop it on the sort of, let me see, the thumb part, just at the base of my thumb on my hand, and I find that a really good sort of little palette to blend the two colours together. And then basically start at your nose and apply onto your skin. So you want to get everywhere. So that's where these are quite handy. You can get into the corners of your nose. And if you damp them down before you start, it makes the foundation go further and obviously not sink quite so far into the sponge. Actually, these silicone ones are pretty good. They don't tend to absorb colour. But over your eyelids, over your lips, up onto your forehead. So you want every part of your skin covered, and then just take it down onto your neck. Make sure you've kind of gone into the ear area as well, just because that can sometimes be a point at which it all collects and you don't want it collecting around the hairline really. So basically you're starting from the centre of your face and blending it out, so you haven't got loads and loads sort of on the outside of your face which make it look like you've got lots and lots of foundation on. So obviously if you're going out in the evening, you can apply it in thicker concentrations. You can tap it onto your face where it's most needed and then blend with the sponge. You can basically, if you're applying with your fingers, then use a damp sponge to tap over it when you've applied, and it basically helps to even out the coverage, even just doing that. So you can do that too. So then after you've applied your foundation and got it to the point where you want it, the coverage you want, and where it is on your skin, then you would go for your concealer. So you can use it before you put your foundation on, but I find when I put foundation over the top, it just moves it off. So I like to do it afterwards. And today I'm going to use my own skin tone coloured one, but you can also use different coloured ones for different problems on your skin. So you'd use a green one to cover up any redness you have. You'd use the purple one to colour up, to cover over any yellowness in the skin. So if you have a very sallow skin, then the violet one is good for that. And the middle one, the peach coloured one, is really good for any sort of dark circles, things like that. That's really good for that. I'm just going to use my own skin tone coloured one, and then what you do is you dab it on the areas. I've just got a little spot there I need to cover, on the areas you want it, and then again, either with your sponge or with your fingers, just blend it in. Now the whole thing about using foundation is the blend. That's what's the most important thing to make it look flawless, is the blending. So let's do it again just with a finger tap. You can spread it around a bit so that it blends in and doesn't look so obvious that that's what you're trying to cover. And then after you've done that, you go on to your powder. So you can either use a pressed or a loose powder. I'll do half and half so you can see the difference. Not that there is an amazing amount of difference, but you can see it and how you apply it slightly differently. I'm just taking the plastic off the top of my powder. So the best way to do a pressed powder is to actually still use a brush and just sort of load the brush. Don't know if you can see that there, and then just brush it down, always downward strokes with powder, because what you don't want to do is end up with the powder shoved up underneath all the little tiny hairs on your skin. That makes it look very obvious that that's what you've done. So always with the powder, a downward stroke. And again, go down onto the neck. So that's the pressed powder, which doesn't get everywhere, I have to say. It is probably easier to use. And then with the loose powder, what I tend to do is tap it into the lid of your container. And then again, roll your brush around the lid to collect the colour. And then again, downward motions all the way over your eyes, down onto your neck. Try and get into the corners of your nose, across your lips. This will all help both the foundation to stay put and the rest of your makeup to last longer. So that's it. That's how you apply a foundation. And as I say, if you're going out in the evening, you can just make it heavier, apply more if that's what you want to do. And that is how you get to a flawless foundation. If you find it's collected in your eyebrows, then if you use your tissue and just wipe over your brows, and then you can put your brow colour on if you're going to use a brow colour, or just carry on as normal if you're like me and got quite dark brows naturally. Then you just wipe it off the brows so it doesn't look like it's caked into your brows. But then you would go on to apply your other makeup, so your eye makeup, blusher, lipstick, and balance it from there. But that's how you do your foundation. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know if you've got any questions. I'd be happy to answer anything. Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.